Welcome back to English and Popcorn. Today's story is one of survival, hope, and the power of the human spirit, Castaway. This movie follows Chuck Noland, an ordinary man whose plane crashes in the Pacific Ocean, leaving him stranded on a deserted island. Through this story, you'll not only practice your English listening and storytelling skills, but also explore a journey of courage, creativity, and transformation. Get ready, because this is more than just a survival story. It's about learning what really matters in life. Grab your popcorn and let's dive into Castaway. Chuck Noland is a systems engineer for FedEx. He is a man obsessed with time, always in a rush, always checking his watch. Chuck travels around the world, solving delivery problems and making sure packages arrive on time. He has a girlfriend named Kelly who loves him, but she wishes he could slow down and spend more time with her. They're happy together, but Chuck's job always comes first. One day, Chuck is called to travel for work during Christmas. He kisses Kelly goodbye, promising he will be back soon. She gives him a small gift, tells him not to open it yet. Chuck boards a FedEx cargo plane with several other employees. The weather is rough, and soon the plane hits a violent storm. The pilots lose control, alarms are sounding, and everything becomes chaos. The plane crashes into the Pacific Ocean. Chuck is thrown into the water, fighting for his life as the waves pull him under. He grabs an inflatable raft and somehow survives the night. When morning comes, Chuck wakes up on a deserted tropical island. The plane is gone. There's no one around. He is completely alone. Chuck wakes up on the beach, exhausted and confused. The sun is bright, and the sound of the ocean is loud. He looks around, hoping to see other survivors, but there's no one. The only things on the shore are a few FedEx packages that washed up from the crash. At first, Chuck believes rescue will come soon. He writes a big SOS sign in the sand using branches and rocks. He climbs a tall hill to see if any boats or planes are nearby, but there's nothing but endless water. As the first night comes, Chuck tries to sleep, but strange noises from the jungle keep him awake. He feels scared and vulnerable. For the first time in his life, he is completely cut off from the world. The next day, Chuck explores the island. He finds coconuts, but they are hard to open. After many attempts, he finally cracks one open and drinks the water inside. It's his first meal since the crash. He also begins to collect the FedEx packages from the shore. He doesn't open them yet. They represent hope, a small piece of the life he left behind. But soon, Chuck realizes rescue might not come soon. Days pass. His SOS sign washes away in the tide. His raft is destroyed by the waves. He starts to feel weak from hunger and thirst. Desperation sets in. Chuck decides to open the packages, hoping to find something useful. Inside, he finds a few random items: ice skates, videotapes, a dress, and a volleyball. At first, these seem useless, but he keeps them all, thinking they might help him somehow. One day, Chuck cuts his hand badly while trying to make a fire. In anger and pain, he grabs the volleyball and throws it. The ball rolls in the sand, leaving a bloody handprint that looks like a face. Chuck draws eyes and a mouth on the ball and names it Wilson. Slowly, Wilson becomes Chuck's companion. Talking to Wilson helps him stay seen and feel less lonely. After many attempts, Chuck finally makes fire by rubbing wood together. He dances around the fire, shouting in triumph, "I have made fire!" For the first time, he feels a sense of control over his situation. Chuck begins to adapt. He learns to fish using a spear, drinks fresh water from coconuts, and uses the ice skates as tools. Slowly, he transforms from a man obsessed with time into a survivor who must live day by day. But deep down, Chuck still dreams of going home to Kelly. Every night, he looks at the pocket watch she gave him, which holds her picture. It gives him strength to keep going. Time passes. Days turn into weeks. Weeks into months. Chuck slowly adjusts to life on the island. He builds a shelter from sticks and palm leaves. He sharpens tools from rocks. He grows thinner. His beard and hair grow long, and his skin becomes dark from the sun. At first, Chuck counts the days on the walls of a cave, scratching lines to keep track of time. But eventually, there are too many lines. He stops counting. Time no longer matters the way it once did. Wilson, the volleyball, becomes Chuck's closest friend. He talks to Wilson about his plans, his fears, and his memories of home. It seems strange, but Wilson keeps him sane. Having someone, even just a ball to listen, helps him stay hopeful. Chuck learns the rhythms of the island, when the tide comes in, where the best coconuts grow, which areas have fish. He becomes strong and skilled. Hunting and fishing are no longer struggles. They are part of his daily routine. 4 years pass. Chuck is a completely different man. The man who once wore a suit and lived by the clock is gone. Now, he is a survivor. But one thing hasn't changed. He still dreams of Kelly. Every day, he takes out the pocket watch with her picture inside and looks at it. It is his reminder that he has a reason to live. One day, something new washes ashore. A piece of plastic from a portable toilet. At first, Chuck doesn't think much of it, but then he gets an idea. The plastic could act as a sail. For years, he has been afraid to leave the island, knowing the ocean is dangerous and his raft might not survive. But now, he feels ready to try. Chuck begins to work on a new raft. He uses logs, rope made from tree bark, and pieces of debris he has saved. It takes weeks of hard work, but finally, the raft is complete. The plastic piece becomes the sail that could catch the wind and carry him away. Before leaving, Chuck spends one last night talking to Wilson. He thanks the ball for keeping him company all these years. It's a bittersweet moment. Wilson has been his only friend. But now Chuck must risk everything to try to return to the world he left behind. When the tide is high, Chuck pushes the raft into the water. It's difficult, but he manages to climb aboard. As he sails away, he looks back at the island one last time. This lonely place had been his prison, but also his teacher. Chuck is heading into the unknown, into dangerous waters. With no guarantee he will survive, but for the first time in years, he feels a spark of hope. Chuck's raft drifts farther from the island with the help of the wind and the makeshift sail. At first, the ocean feels calm, almost peaceful. Chuck feels free for the first time in 4 years, but the sea is unpredictable, and soon the waves grow larger, testing both him and the raft. Days pass. Chuck carefully rations his water and fish, but the sun is brutal. His lips crack, his skin burns, and his body grows weak. At night, storms rock the raft violently. Several times, Chuck almost gets thrown into the water. Through it all, Wilson stays tied to the raft. The volleyball sits at the front like a quiet passenger, reminding Chuck that he's not entirely alone. Chuck talks to Wilson every day, sharing his fears and hopes that someone will find them. One night, a massive storm hits. The waves crash over the raft, tearing apart pieces of wood and rope. Chuck fights to hold everything together, but by morning, the raft is barely holding up. Worse, Wilson has come loose. Chuck wakes up to find Wilson drifting away in the waves. Panicking, he dives into the water and swims after it. "Wilson!" he shouts desperately, crying as he struggles against the current. But Wilson floats farther and farther away until Chuck can't reach it anymore. Exhausted and heartbroken, Chuck climbs back onto the raft. He weeps, calling Wilson's name over and over. Losing Wilson feels like losing his last friend, the one thing that kept him sane. For a moment, Chuck almost gives up, but he knows he must keep going. After several more days adrift, with almost no strength left, Chuck finally sees something. A giant cargo ship on the horizon. He uses his last energy to wave and shout. Miraculously, the ship's crew spots him and rescues him. For the first time in years, Chuck is safe. Chuck is finally rescued and brought back to civilization. After 4 years of isolation, the world feels strange and overwhelming. The noise of cars, the bright lights, the sound of voices. Everything is too much at first. People stare at him. He looks like a different man, thin, bearded, and scarred by years of survival. FedEx arranges a small welcome ceremony to honor him, but Chuck feels disconnected. Everyone is happy to see him, but they can't truly understand what he went through. He smiles politely, shakes hands, but inside he feels empty. The first thing Chuck wants is to see Kelly. She was his reason to survive, his hope through the darkest times. When he finally goes to see her, he learns the truth. Kelly has moved on. She waited for him for years, but after everyone believed he had died, she married another man and started a family. Seeing her again is painful for both of them. Kelly still loves Chuck, but she has a new life now. In an emotional moment, she tells him she wishes things could be different. Chuck gives her back the pocket watch that kept him going all those years. It's a quiet goodbye, a sign that he must let her go. Chuck feels heartbroken, but also strangely free. For so long, he lived only to get back to Kelly. Now with that chapter closed, he must decide what comes next. At the end of the film, Chuck is standing at a crossroads. Literally. He stops at an intersection in the middle of nowhere, looking in all 4 directions. Each road leads to a different future. He smiles slightly. Despite everything, he is alive. He has been given a second chance. The world is open to him again, and now he must choose his own path forward. The story ends not with answers, but with hope, showing us that even after loss, life goes on and new beginnings are always possible. And that's the incredible story of Castaway. Chuck survived against all odds, but his journey wasn't just about getting off the island. It was about finding himself. In losing everything, he discovered who he truly was and learned that every ending is also a new beginning. I hope this story not only helped you practice your English, but also reminded you that no matter how lost you feel, there is always a way forward. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to English and Popcorn, and share it with a friend who loves inspiring stories.